This your boy Dave, one half for the Rock Boys podcast. And this is how I fell in love with wrestling. So it's gonna get probably emotional for me in some ways because I don't really talk too much about wrestling and how I fell in love with it. But let's just get right to it. So I fell in love with wrestling basically when I was born. Um, my mom, my mom, parents, Rosenay and Clarence Turner. My grandfather just loved wrestling. Um, from my earliest remembrance of wrestling has been there with him. Um, from my understanding, from what I know, all the guys in my family on my mom's side, we rock wrestling. Some of us still to this day. My uncle, I know for sure he still watch wrestling. My cousin, Paul, Boot, Donnie, watch wrestling. R.I.P. to my cousin KJ. He was a wrestling fan. We sat down and we watched wrestling. We watched it a lot. So my earliest remembrance of wrestling is TBS wrestling. My grandfather, like I said, we used to sit there and we used to watch it. When it came to even pay per view, he ordered it. He wasn't black boxing. My grandfather was really ordering wrestling. Now, like I said, I really don't remember what was going on the screen. I just know that, wrestling was in my family and that was the love that all of us, had in that household. We watched wrestling. Now, as I get older, of course, I fell in love with it on my own. My favorite wrestler was Undertaker. One, because my grandmother, Rosemary, used to always say he was on that stuff. Because he used to sit up after, he get beat up. Undertaker used to sit up. He's like, he on that stuff, baby. That's why he's sitting up like that. I'm 30 something years old. I still remember that. So that's my earliest memories of wrestling being in my, being in my life. Two things that when I grew up was wrestling and music theater. Those were my two things that I fell in love with. Wrestling and music theater. And Batman too. Can't forget about that. But back to wrestling. Wrestling was just something that I just loved. I love to see guys competing. You had the big, strong guys back in the day. Everybody had muscles, big dudes, and all pause, no dick. But I was a kid. That's what I like to see. Andre the Giant, people like that. So when I think about it a lot, I like the bad guys, man. Like I didn't care for the quote unquote good guy. I was a Ric Flair fan. I was he's all older, so Undertaker, he was the bad guy at the time. Ted DiBiase, Andre the Giant, when he was the bad guy. I didn't care too much for the Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and none of that mess. I was into the bad guys. That was always my thing. So let's move along, in my life, Matt, my cousin, my partner, tag team partner, my oos. Uh, he's about 3 years younger than me. He's not like 3 years younger. He comes along and, as he get of age, maybe about 6 or 7, you know, man, him playing video games all day with each other. We go to our grandparents' house, you know, James Cole and Mary Alice Cole. Love them too as well. Matt used to come over and me and him be upstairs in my grandfather's den and we'd take it over. He would take it over, especially summertime. Summertime, me and Matt is in that room playing Raw versus SmackDown all day long. And not only was we playing it, we was coming up with storylines and, it was making our love. The video games made our love even more deeper to the game. Into wrestling, or the game to the wrestling. But it made it, by this time Stone Cold is crazy, don't get it. Everybody loves Stone Cold. You got Bill Goldberg on the other side. got Scott Hall, you got the NWO going on. Like I said, me and Matt was really into the impact of Triple H, which, rising up DX. I got in trouble plenty of times in school for doing the suck it sign, sticking your middle fingers up at the teacher. Wrestling was really a part of my life. Crazy at that age. Then I ended up, I think I was in middle school, whatever. I met up with my boy Reese. Shout out to Reese, my brother. Um, Somebody that was my age. I said Matthew was like 3 years younger than me, so he wasn't in my age. He's in my age, but you know what I'm saying? Somebody I was actually in school with that wasn't a part of my family, even though he's family now. But he wasn't part of my family, and I could talk wrestling with. My boy, shout out to my boy Reese, man. You're a wild boy, dog. Like, Reese is a Triple H fan, like crazy. I'll never forget this. We in school one day. Reese takes the water bottle. That's the Triple H, spit pose in the middle of the goddamn cafeteria, bro. My nigga was on some wild shit, you know what I mean? But we had fun though. We had a lot of fun. And that made me like, I could have somebody to talk to really talk about myself. If you really want to, especially as a kid. Um, Wrestling always been there. Like even as I got older, high school, I didn't watch it every week, but I knew what was going on. Like, I could tell you what was going on. I knew what was going on. Like I wasn't like fully entrenched into it like that, and growing up, I was running around doing whatever, all types of stuff. After high school, slowly started to get back into it. It was just something that always just catch my attention. I knew what was going on at all times. So I kept my ear to the storyline and stuff like that. So around that time, might have been like the start of like Randy Orton, John Cena, Batista, Brock Lesnar, around that era. And started to get back into watching it, more and more. Um, Undertaker was still there, of course. So, my favorite wrestler was still wrestling. So that was even, always a plus to have him, to see him still wrestling at the time. So like I said, that's when that era was coming, the John Cena era and stuff like that. Got back into it, and TNA popped up, got into TNA, the early years of TNA, even all the way up until, Phoenix is going on to now. Uh, so I always kept my eyes on stuff. Like I knew about ECW, found out about ECW like that. My dad got a house, had my whole room, but we would look like a man flipping TV one day and see people flying through cages, doing all kinds of crazy shit. And I had to tell somebody about it, tell them that, tell my boys, tell everybody about it. Like, yo, my God, this is crazy. So I never really gave it up as I got older. I just didn't watch it as much. My focus was on other things. But fun. But so yeah, wrestling has always been in my blood. Like it's something that I just, like I said, I was born into a wrestling and watching family. My mom's side, my dad, parents didn't watch it that much. When me and Matthew came along, they embraced it because that's just something that the grandkids love, especially the two boys. My sister watched it too. My cousin watched it. My sister watched it, but they ain't watching it with me and watch. They were just there. Their brothers watched it, so they got stuck watching it. Me and him really fell in love with it. Um, then as I get older into my adult years and my, mid 20s, late 20s, I'm back into it full time, watching it, after work, watching the network, um, texting, texting Matt about it, me and Matt texting, and, you know, wrestling in some weird way kept me and my cousin in contact. No matter what, I could text him in the middle of a match and a storyline. Did you see this? Did you see that? And it just kept me and my cousin close. And like I appreciate wrestling for that because it definitely keeps me and him close. Now, look at us now. One day I'm literally driving home from work and idea popped in my brain. I texted my cousin and said, "Yo, let's start a podcast." Made shout out to Matt. He came over to the game. came out with the little logo, and now we about 12, 13 years in. So wrestling has been stuck in our blood. We have a lot of fun with it. We're having a lot of fun with it. Appreciate it because I talk to my cousin minimum once a week, but if not more. So now it's minimum. Do our safety. Wrestling is keeping us close, and I appreciate wrestling for that. Truly do. That's a quick little diary into what wrestling means to me and what it has done for me. I was waiting and excited to see what Matt says about him with that 8 years mine. But this day, probably part one, we'll probably have a part two later on. But this day, one half of the Rock Boys podcast. And this is how I fell in love with wrestling and how it's continued to bless my family. Got me and my cousin close.